Hey guys, I'm Joey with Next Adventure.
Hey, I'm Beans.
We're in the bargain basement here.
We're here to talk about raincoats today. We're gonna be looking at a whole bunch of different stuff. What waterproof means, what water resistant means, the different types of fabrics and like how that all plays into keeping you dry out here in the Pacific Northwest.
So what's the difference between waterproof and water resistant?
Waterproof means it's fully impermeable to water. That means it's something like a trash bag. Like nothing you do to this will let water through unless there's holes in it. An Nalgene, anything that's like holding water is waterproof. Water resistant is anything that is gonna be mostly waterproof, but when it gets too wet, it might soak through. Things like a soft shell or like a waxed jacket.
When would I want to get a water resistant over a waterproof?
The big thing comes down to what you're using your equipment for. If you're gonna be bike commuting, if you're gonna be going for a hike, for skiing or ski touring. Water resistant jackets are really good for when you're gonna be moving a lot or when the weather is gonna be maybe foggy or snowy or something like that, where like you don't necessarily need to stay dry, but you're gonna wanna be like evaporating that sweat that you're producing out of your body. Usually water resistant is also a little bit better when it's gonna be a little bit warmer outside too. Like if it's the summer and it's gonna rain a little bit. You don't necessarily care about getting wet too much, but you want a little bit of protection. If it's really cold and it's gonna be soaking wet, like if you're biking to work in December, which I know both of us do pretty regularly, I don't wanna be at work all day with wet socks, wet jacket, so waterproof in those sorts of zones would be better.
So I heard that there's like 2-layer jackets, 3-layer jackets. How do I know what I'm looking at?
Yeah, for sure. The layers of the jacket basically refer to how many pieces of fabric are stuck together to make the jacket or the pants or whatnot. The 3 layers are normally the shell or the outside of the fabric. It looks nice, it's durable. It's the blue layer on this Patagonia jacket. It's durable, it wears nicely, it's abrasion resistant. On the inside of this Patagonia jacket, we have what's called the membrane or that middle layer. So this is a 2-layer jacket, so there's nothing protecting this inside of the jacket from abrasion or wear, which can cause problems down the road, but it saves a lot of weight and it saves a lot of money. And then a 3-layer jacket will have the same 2 layers as we were looking at earlier, except for they add a softer, more durable, nicer to touch, nicer on the skin layer on the inside.
Yeah, that feels a lot better to the touch.
Yeah, it's a lot less plasticky, it's a little bit less like you're wearing a plastic bag. It's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit more bulky, but it lasts longer, and it feels better against bare skin.
So this is gonna protect the membrane, keep it feeling more comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. 3-layer jackets are typically considered the best quality, but that's not always the case. It just depends on what your uses are. I normally go for a 2-layer jacket personally, just to save some weight. I do a lot of like lightweight backpacking, mountaineering, that kind of stuff, where every ounce counts for me. But on my resort riding jacket, where I'm gonna be snowboarding in terrible weather because it's the Pacific Northwest, I rock a 3-layer every time. I don't care about weight in those circumstances. I'm probably gonna get soaked and it's gonna last a lot longer. On the seams of the jacket, you'll see some tape, or usually, sometimes it'll be a glue mark. And that just basically helps keep the jacket waterproof where the stitching was. So on the outside of the jacket, there's some stitches where the needle and thread of the sewing machine went through the jacket, and those poke little holes through the fabric. And anywhere there's a hole, there's gonna be water coming through.
So if this wasn't
Stitching.
there, you would have water coming through on the outside.
Yep, exactly.
Where the stitching is.
Yeah, and there are jackets that are partially seam taped, which will only do like the zippers on the front, and the shoulders and the hood, but then leave like the underarms untaped, just to allow some ventilation through to give you a little bit more breathability.
This guy made out of rubber. This one's gonna be waterproof.
And I noticed there's no like stitching or anything there. It's all glued together.
Yeah, it's all sealed.
It keeps the water out because it's glued together, but very much not breathable. There's no membrane. There's gonna like keep all that sweat inside the raincoat. So if you want to stay dry, it'll keep you the driest from the outside, but maybe not from the inside.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sweating in this. If I'm riding my bike, this is gonna be so sweaty.
Super, super waterproof. It's very high K rating on the waterproofing, the hydrostatic head, if you want to be techie about it. A lot of these raincoats are measured in what's called a K rating. You might see that on snowwear. Usually it's like 15K or 10K waterproof. That's how much water can sit on its surface. And it's measured in milliliters. So it's like 1,500 milliliters of water in a 1-inch square can sit on the surface before it's penetrating. And same goes for the breathability. So that 1,500K rating on the breathability is like how much water can evaporate through the fabric. So the higher that number, the better the breathability and the better the waterproofing.
So I'm trying to find a rain jacket.
Yeah.
I want to find something that's going to be really waterproof. Is there a way to tell if something's going to be better than something else?
A lot of these will have on the sleeve some kind of logo. North Face has one called High Vent. Patagonia has one called H2No. There's also a brand called Event. There's also from Black Diamond, BD Dry. Everybody basically has their own version of this fabric. Gore-Tex was the first brand to make it, and they had the patent originally. Gore-Tex is a name brand that produces fabric. Gore-Tex makes a lot of stuff, and they do a lot of stuff for very different applications. So Gore-Tex itself is the brand, but you're really looking for that membrane layer. Everybody's been copying what Gore-Tex has been making for 30, 40 years now. This North Face jacket we have right now has a 83 tag on there. So that means this jacket was made in 1983.
83, and that's Gore-Tex.
And it's still Gore-Tex, and it's probably still waterproof.
How do I know if it's still waterproof?
That's a really good question. Really big tell if the jacket is not waterproof. If you're looking on the inside, you'll see this layer start to peel away. And I can probably just like rip that whole thing apart. Like this whole section has been glued together. And when it starts peeling apart, it's called delamination. And there's little pieces that like rip off of it. Generally, if anything's delaminating, it's a pretty good sign that it's not gonna be waterproof anymore. One, that layer's probably worn out, and two, the glues and adhesives that were used are definitely gonna be old. The places you'll see that kind of stuff wear away are the necks, the armpits, things that are areas that are really sweaty or see a lot of motion. So sometimes the elbow or the armpit, because that's a more like high mobility zone.
Yeah. It's friction there.
More friction, a little bit more sweat. If it's starting to peel, there's not much you can do about it. If it's just not repelling water on the outside though, there's this really cool product called Nick Wax.
What do you do with it? So it's like a wash? Does that mean am I throwing my jacket in the washer?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels counterintuitive, but you do need to like wash and dry your rainwear. Most of the time, these kinds of things wear out. And so adding that waterproofing layer and making sure that fabric is clean will help keep the jacket lasting longer, especially if it's in those like more sweaty zones.
Beans, thanks for teaching me all this
stuff. Of course,
stuff.
Joey. Anytime.
Yeah.
If y'all want to check out anything else at Next Adventure, nextadventure.net to learn about product. If you want to watch any of our other videos, we got lots of information out there. And then you like point in the corner and then the video pops up on the recommended. It's rainy season. Hope y'all stay dry.
Stay dry out there.